Hello and welcome to another edition of Another Book Review. This week I'll be reviewing Seeing by Jose Saramago. Talk a little bit about the author, go into the overarching plot without giving any spoilers away. Talk a little bit about what I liked about the book, what I did not like about the book, who I would recommend the book to. Finish it off with what I'll be reading and reviewing for next time. So Jose Saramago was a Portuguese author. He's probably best known for his novel Blindness, which was made into a major motion picture in, I believe, 2008. He sadly passed away a few years ago. He did win the Nobel Prize for Literature, I believe, in the late 90s. This book, Seeing, was written in his native Portuguese and then translated into English, the version that I read. I had not read any of his novels before this. This actually, Seeing, is a sequel to that earlier novel, Blindness, which I did not know going in. A lot of times when I'm perusing the bookstore or the library, I'll check to see if a book of novel is part of a series. And I did not note at the time that this was a sequel to that. Talk a little bit why that was maybe problematic for me later. But right now I'll talk a little bit about what the book is. Seeing is about a country that is not named, a capital city that is not named, where an election takes place. I believe the election is to determine who is going to be ruling that country in the foreseeable future. And the ballots are blank. A large portion of the ballots are blank. There is a recount ordered, and then the second recount, more ballots actually are blank. So in total, about 80% of the ballots casted are blank. The government takes this as a threat, and they leave the city, they barricade the city, and remove all the police force and firefighting force. So that's the hook of the novel. I did like that stylistically. It's like nothing I've ever read before, in that there are no named characters. There's no proper names in the novel. Everyone's referred to as their title. So for instance, the Prime Minister is just referred to as Prime Minister, both by other characters and the narrator. And there's no attribution as far as who is speaking at any point in the novel. Everything is separated by, I believe, commas. So you have to pay close attention to who is speaking and who they are speaking to, because that is not attributed. So there's no George said angrily as he stomped away. There's none of that in the book. And I also really enjoyed the plot hook of the novel. I thought was interesting. What originally got me into the novel, I read it on the flap, so to speak, of the inside flap of the book, and it kind of brought me in. I'd never read the author before, like I said, and so I wanted to give him a try to see if I would enjoy his writing. So stylistically, I did enjoy that it was very different than anything else that I'd read before. I thought that was interesting. Some of the things that I didn't like as much, I think if I had known this was a sequel going in, I would not have read it. And it's hard for me to know how much of it being a sequel to that earlier book affected my enjoyment of it, because the way the book is broken down, the first third of it really is covering these government officials who are in the midst of this election. The middle third or so involves kind of the current ruling party and how they react to the election. And then the final third of the book involves a superintendent, a police officer who is sent on a mission. From what I've read, the last third really does interact with the plot from the earlier novel. And I understood what I think was going on, but I think there was definitely deeper meaning that was lost on me because I had not read the earlier work. I also thought, for me personally, this novel was a bit of a slog. I just kept putting it down, stepping away from it, putting it down, stepping away from it. Maybe there was part of not naming the characters made it feel almost like a parable or a fairy tale. And I think because of that, there's no really overarching mystery or overarching problem that felt that it needed to be solved. And so for me, because of that, I kind of kept pulling away from it. I think his use of language is very well done, but I also didn't feel, after the initial hook of the book, I definitely didn't feel drawn into the story as much. So that was kind of my issue with it. Again, I don't know how much of that is because I had not read the previous novel And I don't know if I had read the previous novel, if my feelings would be different about it, but it definitely felt like it was a slog to get through because of the reasons I stated. The language part of it, as far as the non-attributed speakers, that was definitely part of it, and not having named characters as far as proper names did definitely take some getting used to. I think as well, the book doesn't really resolve the central question that it sets out to answer, and so for me it was a difficult book for those reasons. I would recommend it if you enjoyed Blindness and you wanted to know more about some of the characters in it. From my understanding, this book does continue that. And if you also are just someone who likes reading different styles and you really enjoy different uses of the English language, I think you would enjoy this novel. So that is my review of Blindness. I will be reviewing next time Jennifer Egan's Manhattan Beach, and so look for that very shortly. Until next time, please feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll leave my Twitter link below in the description. And until next time, bye.